Hi everyone, welcome. FPLMattDay here. It's game week 7 with 1 hour until the deadline. I'm live tonight to go through the fixtures, the best players to pick this week, go through some injury news and all of the live team selections as they come in. I'll be going through X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and going through any of the team leaks in the next hour. Also answering any questions, so be sure to get them in the comments and I'll go through all of your questions prior to this deadline. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. Also give this video a like and keep getting your questions and comments in, all ready for the deadline in the next hour. But look, let's get straight into the fixtures. We'll share the fixtures as usual, go through each game, talk about our favourite picks, and then talk about all the injuries. There's been so many yellow flags in the last week as well. It's just absolutely constant this week. My own team's got plenty of injury problems as well. So lots to go through tonight. Let's bring up some of the comments as well that have come in early doors. So I'll bring them up now. Christian, welcome to the stream, mate. Hope you're well. Obviously a big game for Spurs against Liverpool today, the late game in England on Saturday. But yeah, evening for me here in Melbourne. And hey, mate, I've got another comment that's come in. Welcome to the stream. Hope you are well as well. But look, let's go straight into the fixtures to begin with. As I mentioned before, get your comments in as well. I'm going to prioritize questions as well this week, especially given it's an hour until deadline and this is a live deadline stream. So be sure to get your questions in the comments. And we've got the first game on and we'll scroll in, zoom in a little bit here. Aston Villa versus Brighton is the early game. Brighton have been making a lot of changes this season in their matches. So it's actually very hard to predict what players they are going to pick in their team. Aston Villa, on the other hand, quite self-explanatory. We're going to see the likes of Ollie Watkins, Matt Cash, Diaby. Very likely that they'll all play. This has potential to be a very open, attacking, exciting game of football. So I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. A lot of people have been asking whether or not to play the likes of Mitoma and Estupiñán. I still would. Brighton are scoring goals. And Estupiñán, even when Brighton don't keep clean sheets, he finds a way to get assists, bonus points, goals. And he's very good on the road for Brighton, Estupiñán is. We saw that in the game against Wolves in game week 2. So for me, I'd still play Estupiñán and I'd play Villa assets as well. I think this is going to be a really entertaining game. So 2-2 for me. Let's go into this next one, Bournemouth-Arsenal, which is a very, very big game for FPL. And we'll talk about that in a second because of all of the injury news. But we'll bring up Christian's question first. And his question for today, thinking of bringing in Kabore for me and banking pounds, but not sure who to bench. Estupiñán, Trippier, Udogie, Eze, Son, Maddison, Foden or Mitoma. That's really tough because you've got a lot of good options there. I'd normally say, for me, it is probably between our man Udogie because I'm expecting Liverpool to score and possibly Eze. I just think Estupiñán is too much of a threat, very highly owned as well. You don't want to miss out on his points in an early game if he gets them. So it'll be between Udogie and Eze for me, mate. If you think Man United are going to get another shutout against Palace like they did in the League Cup, then maybe do Eze. Another question has come in. Pick 2 from Bowen, Diaby or Gordon. I'm going to say Bowen because he's got the Sheffield United fixture and Diaby because I think if you have Diaby in there this week for a home game, you've got good fixtures coming up for him. Gordon, I think he's got a great fixture this week. I just don't know how safe he is in that Newcastle side. So Lexic has asked, we'll go on to the Arsenal game now. Bournemouth versus Arsenal. He's asked if there's any Saka news. So we're doing Bournemouth-Arsenal now. Arsenal, we'll start with Bournemouth. I don't think many players have too many, teams have too many of their players. You probably normally have Saka, Neto or Solanke. But you're expecting Arsenal to win this, say 2-0, 3-0 Arsenal in this game. And they've got plenty of injuries. Trossard, Martinelli, Saka, who Lexic has mentioned as well. Saliba's got a knock. There's plenty of players. Declan Rice as well. Plenty of players potentially injured for Arsenal. But let's go through some Saka news and some Arsenal team news. So what I'll do, let's have a look through the latest on Twitter. So let's have a quick look through now. The last I heard was Saka travelled with the Arsenal squad. Saliba travelled with the Arsenal squad. So they're both with the squad. Apparently they trained yesterday, and so did Declan Rice. Arteta does tend to play mind games. I honestly think if you've got Saka, you start him. You don't want him to end up being in that lineup, and then you miss out on some big points from Saka. We've seen this happen before in FPL. But let's have a quick look and just see if there is any latest updates from them or from any leaks. And look, if there isn't any updates right now on this part of the stream, I'm sure we'll get them before deadline. I'm going to make sure we are all up to date with the leaks tonight. So let's have a quick look, see if there's anything else. Okay, so 30 minutes ago from the Physio Scout football injury analysis, Bukayo Saka has travelled with Arsenal squad and is available to face Bournemouth. He suffered a minor foot injury after the matchup with Spurs, who have to pass a fitness test to play. Apologies for the incorrect prognosis, currently a learning process. So, look, if he's got a fitness test to play, then I think if he passes it, he'll get the start. Make sure you've got someone on that bench as a second sub just to be sure, or as a first sub to be sure. But for me, I think he'll get the start. I think Arsenal will win 3-0. I think Saliba starts. They're going to want 3 points in this after dropping points in the derby last week. So that's Bournemouth Arsenal. Let's go on to the first of a double game week. It is a double game week this week. Everton, Luton, Newcastle, Burnley, and then Luton versus Burnley. So we'll go and talk about this one in a second. Let's bring up this comment here. Taylor versus Kabore, or should I start SG Penan ahead of those two? Well, I'll tell you what, mate. I've got SG Penan in my team. I'm starting him ahead of Bayer from Burnley. But if I had Kabore, I think just based on his potential and the assists he's got this season, I'd probably back Kabore in that one. So that's probably what I would do. Let's go to Everton Luton in a second. We'll bring up some comments too. Blues, welcome to the podcast, mate. Great to see you in. Glaucoma Guy UK, he's a legend as well. Go check him out on TikTok. Zada, hope you're well, mate. I'm doing well. Lots of yellow flags, red flags in my FPL team, just like everyone else. Let's quickly go through. We'll go through the next two comments from Two Blues and Glaucoma Guy in a second. Let's just do Everton Luton. Yeah, interesting game. Everton have picked up some form. League Cup win against Villa. They beat Brentford 3-1 away last season. So I think the likes of Decore, Garner for Everton, the midfielder, very good picks this week. There's potential, maybe even Beto. So some good value in there. I really like Decore, scored last week. As for Luton, I like the Kabore pick. I like the Morris pick. I think he's a 6th highest scoring striker this season. 3 returns in his opening 6 games. That's pretty good going for his value on pens. And he's not just about pens. He's looked really good in and around the box as well with his feet. So, yeah, I really like the idea of bringing in Morris if you've got the spare striker space. If you don't, I wouldn't do it because he's a pain to bring out unless you're wildcarding sort of next week or the week after. But if you've got the spare space, I'd look at bringing him in. And I think this game we'll see goals. I think Everton will win. I'm going to go 2-1 to Everton. I think Decore will get on the score sheet and Morris will score for Luton as well. So Everton, Luton there. Before we go to Man United Palace, let's bring up this comment from Two Blues. Gordon and Cole in for Diaz and Gusto this week. Leaving Wilson in the first 11 and hoping. Good move getting rid of Gusto, mate. He obviously had his good times for Chelsea with that Luton game. He got the clean sheet against Bournemouth as well, but he's obviously suspended, so it's time for him to go. Colwell's always a good pickup, especially because you're a Chelsea fan. It's always nice to have Chelsea players. And Gordon is potentially a good pick, but Glaucoma Guy has said that he's got a baby on the way. So whether or not that stops him playing, I'm not too sure. I remember years ago it did stop Gareth Bale playing for Spurs against Chelsea when he had a baby on the way. So yeah, probably one to keep an eye on this week. Zada has bring up a comment here. Nana, Turner, Chilwell, Ruben, SG Pan, Romero, Henry, Odegaard, Madison, Fernandez, Saka, Mbeumo, Alvarez, Haaland, Mbeumo. 1 transfer. What do I do? Well, I'll play Nana as your keeper, and then a back 3 of Ruben. Probably say Ruben, SG Panan, and Henry. That's your 3. And then Odegaard, Madison, Bruno, Saka, Mbeumo. Alvarez, mate, you could probably roll that. I don't think you're not really missing out on much, unless you want to bring in Morris for Mubama if you've got the money, and then you could potentially look to drop one of your Arsenal midfielders, maybe Saka. But we did say before there is a chance that he plays. But yeah, I reckon you could roll that, mate. That's a pretty strong squad. More comments here. I'm not sure what this is about, actually. Is this just about Gordon having his baby? Maybe. I'm not too sure, unless I've missed a comment. We'll bring up some more comments that have come through. We'll keep this one up for now. But if you are new here, also, please hit the subscribe button. Keep getting your questions in. Give this video a like. The more likes this video gets, the more watches we'll get in on the live streams every week, and the more help everyone gets for their FPL teams with news and everyone else's opinion. So please give the video a like and give a subscribe as well. United Palace, interesting one. They beat them 2-0 in the week. Mason Mount looks like he's back. Whether or not that's going to help Man United or not, could do. Some fresh legs coming in, new ideas. Not too sure. They've not been great this season so far, United on the eye. But maybe these are the weeks where we're not expecting Man United to get anything, that they sort of turn around and do something this week. So I'll probably hold the likes of Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, and Nana for at least another week. I will back United to get a win. I think they'll finish their chances in this one 2-0. Højlund, I think, is a really good pick. The striker, Baby Haaland, we've been calling him on this stream. I think he's a great pick this week. I'm backing him to score, and maybe Bruno to get the other one. I'm still not sure on Rashford. He's in my team. I'm keeping hold of him, but he just isn't getting the returns. But yes, I do think United win by 2-0. Lots of defensive problems. Reguilon's injured. Martinez is injured. So there is some defensive problems, but I'll back them to win this week. Let's go through the questions that have come through whilst we're live on the stream now, instead of going to the next game of Newcastle-Burnley. We will go through shortly, but he's on a wild card. Should I keep Alvarez for this week and bring in Darwin next week? I'd bring him in next week, mate. Alvarez away at Wolves. You want him in for this one if he's in your team, mate. So yeah, definitely Alvarez this week. Two Blues was just joking. Okay, about the fatherhood of Gordon back there. Christian, thoughts on Vissa currently on my bench with Haaland Alvarez starting? Mate, he's on my bench as well. I do think there's potential in him this week, especially with the Forest away fixture. He did look good in the League Cup against Arsenal. He hit the post and he missed chances. But honestly, I'd still play Haaland and Alvarez over him every single time. But yeah, I don't dislike the starting Vista if you don't have anyone else. But I still think the Manchester City options are clear ahead of them. Christian as well has come in with a quick question. I've seen a couple of people transfer out Mbeumo. No idea why. I just think it's because Brentford's form has started to struggle. They've not been looking as good. They've obviously lost the last couple of games. He's not been getting the points. But again, I'm playing him in my lineup. I think this is probably one of the last good fixtures we've got left out of Mbeumo over the next few weeks. So I'm giving him one more opportunity, hoping that Brentford turn around the form. Too blunt as well. Why would you get rid of Alvarez? I wouldn't get rid of him this week either. I think he gets this Wolves game, and then if he starts to get rotated or plays less minutes, then you look at moving him on. But right now, yeah, if you've got him, don't get rid of him. So the question's coming about Botman. Let's go through Newcastle-Burnley now, and we'll talk about Botman. So Newcastle-Burnley, it's a double game week for Burnley. The only players from Burnley I would consider playing if you've got them, or player, is probably Trafford. Potential for lots of save points in this game. Then he's got Luton in the second game. So I like Trafford. As for Newcastle, Trippier, if you can get him in, look to bring him in. Huge score in game week 6. It's going to be consistent from here. Newcastle have got good fixtures. This is a good fixture. There's doubts with Isaac, Wilson, both late fitness tests. We're not 100% sure what's going on there. Botman, there's a lot of rumours that he's fine to play. He's going to play. There's a Newcastle fan, lots of followers on Twitter, gets a lot of team news right. He has said he thinks Botman is fine and will be playing in the lineup this week. He's in my lineup, so I'm going to start him and hope that he does play. If he doesn't, I've got Bayer from Burnley coming on as a double game week player. But I prefer to play Botman over a Burnley player in a double game week. I just think this game's got Newcastle goals written all over it. And I'd rather have Botman playing. So I think Newcastle will win this 2-0. Trippier to have a good game. Botman to bank his clean sheet. Almiron maybe to score. And Gordon as well to score with a baby on the way. And if he gets his start. Harvey Barnes is also injured as well. Let's go on to West Ham, Sheffield United in a second. Another big game. We'll bring up some of the questions. Got some good watchers in the stream now as well. So please hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Ask a question. If this is the first time you've come to the stream, ask a question ready for the deadline, which is in 45 minutes. Let's do West Ham, Sheffield United. I'm going to say West Ham will win this 3-0. I think it's going to be quite convincing. Sheffield United lost 8-0 last week. That's a real blow. Sucker punched completely in that. Bowen, great pick if you can get him in. Zuma, if you've got a spare defensive spot. West Ham very strong from set pieces. Paqueta looks really good at the moment for West Ham. So really liking that pick. Areola, if you've got him, start him as well. So there's some really good potential in this West Ham team this week. James Ward-Prowse as well. I know Two Blues, who's in the stream, has been talking about him for a while. But he's looking really good as well. Cheaper and lower owned than Bowen. So 3-0 to West Ham. I won't be targeting any Sheffield United players. I probably wouldn't even bother starting Archer either. Unless you really are desperate and need someone to play in your team. We'll go through some more comments. Cash answered this. I normally prefer Cash, home game, but I don't mind this double game week for Kabore, so I'm going to say Kabore. Keep Estupiñán on the bench or transfer Dalot in for Estupiñán. I wouldn't bother with a Man United defender right now. I do like how Dalot is playing in more, obviously, advanced position, like you mentioned, but I would not sell Estupiñán for him. I wouldn't sell Estupiñán for him. And when I mentioned the Villa Brighton game earlier, Estupiñán, it doesn't matter if they let goals in Brighton. He's always attacking. He's always a threat. He's a goal threat. He's an assist threat. I wouldn't do that one, mate. Lexich with the comment of Bowen is going under the radar, and I might do when Buemo to Bowen in future game weeks. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. Bowen is on absolute fire at the moment, as the West Ham fans like to sing. And then bring Estupiñán in. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, but I don't think it's worth doing the transfer. Benek, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well, mate. He's got Chilwell and Gusto and Sterling with 0.2 in the bank. Any advice? Well, Sterling, I think you can play this week. Chelsea are surely going to score. Long overdue a goal. Chilwell you can get rid of for Trippier, and Gusto you can get rid of for Kabore from Luton and get a double game week out of him, mate. That would be my advice. So let's go into Wolves versus Man City in a second. I'm going to just do a quick look through on Twitter for any news. So let's take a look through just to make sure there's no news that's come in that I've missed whilst I'm on the stream. So this is why we do these live streams. Okay. Let's see what we've got. All I'm hearing is Saka's travelled. That's all I'm hearing. So all I'm hearing is Saka's travelled for Arsenal. A few people saying they think he definitely starts. Why else would he have bothered travelling? Which I think makes sense. All right, let's go into Wolves versus Man City. I think City win this comfortably. Clean sheet as well. I'm going to go 2-0 win. Haaland with the double. Actually 3-0. Haaland with a double. Alvarez with a goal. Probably a couple of assists in there as well. City to make early subs and get this game wrapped up. This fixture is going under the radar because so many people are talking about bringing in Morris, bringing in Kabore, bringing in Bowen, and a lot of people are forgetting about this game. Man City should win this comfortably against a pretty poor Wolves side. So 3-0 for me. Play your Man City assets. They're definitely worth keeping for this game week. So we'll go into the big one, Spurs versus Liverpool. This is a huge, huge game. Really, really big game this week. Two teams unbeaten in the league. Two teams on absolute fire as well this season. Plenty of FPL assets to pick from each team as well. So for me, I think if you can bring Maddison in, bring him in. Open game. We saw 2-2 between Arsenal and Spurs last week. Wouldn't put it past me if it's another 2-2 draw in this game. Both teams to concede goals. Salah gets on the score sheet against Tottenham frequently. Darwin as well probably has a good chance of scoring in this. But Maddison and Son are on absolute fire right now. So don't be scared to play both of them in your midfield and also Salah in your team at the same time. Because we saw last week, Saka, Maddison and Son, plenty of points. So don't be too scared for that one. So yeah, I'd start Maddison, bring him in if you can. Start Son, start Salah. If you've got Darwin, obviously you start him. But if you don't have him, I wouldn't rush to bring him in this week. But I wouldn't be scared about starting him either. But I'll go 2-2 in that one. Got to back my team, Spurs. But Liverpool, obviously very good side this season. Looking good. Have improved a lot. But I think there'll be goals. Zarda's asked when to wildcard. Look, I probably should have wildcarded my team last week. The wildcard draft I did would have got 20 more points than my current team and what it got. And I would have climbed so high up in the ranks compared to where my team is now. Then I was going to look at wildcarding this week. I had 4 or 5 yellow flags like everyone else's team. And then I just thought, nah, I don't want to use a wildcard whilst there's all these injury headaches, injury clouds. So now a lot of people are saying let's do it in game week 8, but I'd rather use a -4 to get a couple of Spurs players in against Luton next week. And I'm looking to use it around game week 10 when Liverpool's fixtures swing. Villa's fixtures are looking good. Spurs fixtures looking good. Man United have a good fixture against Sheffield United that week. I want to see how their form goes. I want to give them a couple more game weeks. So I'm looking more towards game week 10 and 11. And I think I can then sort of maximize it for that sort of second part of the first half of the season. So that's what I'm looking at, mate. Keep getting your questions in as well. Subscribe if you're new here. I'm seeing a couple of new faces in the comments, which is awesome. So please subscribe, give the video a like, and get all your questions in. The deadline is less than 40 minutes away. Jermaine, welcome to the stream, mate. Would I bench Estu and play Anderson versus Burnley? Ooh. It's tough because I've been advocating for playing Estupiñán, and I've been saying play Estupiñán. It's tough. If you're confident Anderson's, I'd always back an attacker though, but go Estupiñán, mate. I'd still back Estupiñán. Liverpool for the win. Yeah, you never know. The record against Spurs is phenomenal. Sid Arthur's asked a quick question. Fernandez, Saka, Mbeumo, Maddison, Gordon. Start 4 out of 5. I would start. That's tough. If we get the intel in the next 25 minutes that Saka's going to start at Bournemouth today, you play Saka, you play Fernandez, Maddison, and Gordon, and then you just hope Mbeumo and Brentford have another off day. That is what I would do. Connor, welcome to the stream, mate. He's asked Ward, Prowse, or Bowen. I'd go Bowen if you can get to Bowen. If you've got the money to get to Bowen, I'd pick Bowen. Big goal threat. But if you can't, Ward-Prowse is a great alternative. He's getting a lot of points. He's looking good. So both good. Bowen edges it for me, though. Let's go into Forest versus Brentford. Yeah, tricky one, this. I've got Wissa. He's on my bench this week. Not scared to play him if Saka, isn't available. I'll have Wissa in the front three. Mbeumo, again, I'm playing him. I don't have any other options. If I had a midfield, similar to this one here, with more options, and I'd probably bench Mbeumo. But whether or not Brentford are going to bounce back or not, it's hard to say. Really hard to say. They've not been playing well. It's kind of got 1-1 written all over it, I think. Maybe a Mbeumo goal or sort of a set piece goal from Brentford. And then Forest, is it Akawini, the striker, he's been on fire. Him or Gibbs White probably to return. But yeah, 1-1 is tough. It's a tricky one. I think if you've got better option than Brentford players this week, then play those better options. If you don't have any other options and you've only got Brentford players, then it's not the worst fixture to play them in, but they're not on good form. Last two fixtures for the game week. Let's bring them up here. Fulham versus Chelsea. Really underperforming Chelsea team. Luton versus Burnley, the second game of a double game week. We'll go through these in a second. Before I do, please get your questions in the comments. Waiting for more questions to come in with some really good questions so far tonight. So get them in 35 minutes until deadline. I'm going to do a quick check now to see if there's any team news that I may or may not have missed. So let's have a look here. Let's see if there's any late news. Doesn't look like we're going to get much right now. I feel like team news is something we're probably going to get with 5 minutes before deadline. It's not something we're going to get half an hour before deadline right now. People are getting all this news pretty late by the looks of it. But we'll keep you updated on the stream. We'll keep you updated on the stream. Let's do Fulham versus Chelsea. I did say earlier, I think Chelsea are due a goal. I think, 3 games without a goal in the league. No Jackson this week. I'm forced to play Raheem Sterling, unfortunately. Chilwell's injured. Sell him if you can. Otherwise, you're just going to have to bench him like me. Sell Gusto. He's suspended. You'd back Fulham to score. Well, the form Chelsea's been on, you'd back Fulham to score. 1-1. It's got 1-1 written all over it, I think. Enzo, maybe Sterling to score the goal for Chelsea. But it's hard to see where their goals will come from. But I do think they'll break the duck this week. But I think Fulham will probably suck a punch with maybe a late equaliser or something like that. It's so tough to say. So let's go 1-1. But yeah, start to fire sell those Chelsea players. If Two Blues podcast is still in the comments, I'm sure he'll put some info about Chelsea in there and he'll say the same. Like, start selling those players. Awful. We'll do Luton versus Burnley, and we'll go through these 2 comments that have come in. Kabore or SG Panan, other 2 are going to be Trippier and Botman. I'd probably say Trippier and Botman are the better 2 picks, especially long term. James with a comment, any Madders or Saka news? Maddison's fine to play. He's already trained, and Postecoglou's declared, like I said, him and Son are fine. So Maddison's fine. Saka has travelled with the squad according to there was a video from FPL Tommy Gunn, and it showed Saka, Saliba had both travelled with the Arsenal squad. So take with that for what you think of it. If he's travelled, I was saying this just earlier on in the stream, that if Saka's travelled, you've got to assume that he's travelled to start the game. I don't understand why they would bring Saka with them to sit on the bench. Unless they think they're going to be losing the game. But for me, if Saka's travelling, he plays. Arsenal do have Champions League in the week. But I just look at it and think if he wasn't going to start, they would have left him at home. And he did train as well. It's been confirmed that he's trained. Same as Declan Rice as well. He's the other one. So, yeah, I think Maddison's fine. And I've got a feeling Saka will sneak into that lineup, mate, this week. So for me, start him if you've got him. Unless you've got a really good bench option that you prefer and you know is guaranteed to start, then you could probably get away with it. Because with Saka, it's one or 2 things. He's either A, going to play 60 minutes early sub, or B, come on for 20 minutes if Arsenal losing and get a 1-pointer. But yeah, Maddison's fine, mate. Maddison's fine to go. And I think Maddison will return this week. I wish I had him in my team. Christian's going 3-1 City. Neto with a worldie for Wolves. He is on good form, mate. He's on great form. I just can't see Wolves scoring in these games. Like, anytime they play, the City and these sides, I just can't see him grabbing a goal. I know they've improved though. But yeah, City will win that game in my opinion. More questions have come in. We'll quickly cover off Luton versus Burnley, the second one of the double game week. I like Kabore. I'd play Kabore if you've got him in your squad over Estupiñán. I'd play, if I had Kabore, I'd play him over Estupiñán. I don't, so I'm playing Estupiñán. I've got Bayer from Burnley, who's got 2 games, but I'm playing Estupiñán over him. But I wouldn't play Estupiñán over Kabore. I think Luton are going to win this one. I think they'll get their first Premier League win in this game. Tight 1-0 win. Carlton Morris and Kabore owners will get a clean sheet and they'll be thriving off it. So 1-0 to Luton. But that wraps up all of the fixtures. So now it's just going to be a case of going through team news and any comments or questions that come in the last half an hour before deadline. So let's go through what we've got. So welcome to the stream, mate. Eunice, hope you're well. Mbuemo to Bowen, good move. And Estupiñán first sub or Archer. I'd put Estupiñán, mate. I think, like I've said all night in the stream, he's just very, very solid attacking fullback, and he can return in any fixture. We saw that at the Emirates last season. Start Dalot or Kabore? I'd say Kabore. I do think United actually might get a clean sheet this week, but I'd back Kabore in 2 games, mate, this week. So 30 minutes till deadline. We'll wait for more questions to come in. I'll do a little troll now online to see if there is any team news that has come in whilst I'm on this stream. Any team news, anything to do with the injuries. Let's see what we've got. Okay. Doesn't seem to be huge amounts. And I think it's just because we're half an hour away from deadline and we're going to get a load of news in that last 5 minutes, I think, with players. Let's have a look. Let's check some of the Instagram accounts. Let's see what Arsenal have posted ahead of today's game. So they got Ødegaard in the graph. They got Reece Nelson in the graphic with Smith Rowe. Make that what you will. Some training pictures. Let's have a look at Arsenal's latest training pictures. Let's see if Saka was really in there, because we're hearing that Saka trained with Rice. You can see Ben White, Gabriel Zinchenko, Cedric, Ødegaard. I'm not seeing Saka in any of these pictures from yesterday. Jesus, Smith Rowe. This is the thing. If Saka's got a knock and he's not fit to play, surely they'd then play Nelson or Smith Rowe ahead of him, really. But then, tough. There's a lot of doubt about Saka, but you've also got to play him just in case he does start that game. Yeah, very tricky. Eunice has said that's true. I have a backline of Cash, Botman, and Kabore. Strong. I think Botman plays this week. Kabore, 2 games. Cash, similar to Estupiñán, attacking fullback, even without clean sheets. There's chances of attacking returns. WB, I'm desperate to get Son in next week, but it would have to be for a hit. Thoughts? Do it. You have to have Son against Luton next week, mate, in my opinion. Bit of intel on my team. Next week, I'll be taking a hit to bring in Maddison and Udogie from Spurs. I've already got Son. So I think if you take a hit for those players, you'll be rewarded. You don't want to miss out on them next week. A lot of people are wildcarding their teams to bring in these Spurs players. So if you don't take a hit for them and you don't have them, all these teams are wildcards. They're going to game rank based on having these players. I think with the form we're on, Spurs are on, I think we'll win that game comfortably. And Son, yeah, he's on fire, mate. So less than half an hour till deadline. A couple more questions to come in before we bring up Eunice's one. Siddharth has asked, start Watkins, Mbuemo, or Alvarez? Tough. It's tough, mate. I'd go Watkins. A lot of people probably disagree, but I just think Watkins leads the line well for Villa. He's got returns in nearly every single game this season. It's tough. Alvarez based on form. Alvarez, then Watkins, then Mbuemo. That's what I would do. It's a tough decision on Saka, but I stuck with him. Hopefully he comes in. It is tough. Look, it'll be disappointing once, if we all see him on the bench and we don't get any news before deadline today, and it will be disappointing. But at the same time, you'd be more disappointed if Arsenal released their team and Saka was in the team and you'd sold him or benched him. Good point here about Maddison being on 4 yellows. Let's have a check. I think he might be, and I think Christian's right there, which is a big shame because a lot of people would then be getting him in this week or next week, and him being on 4 yellows, makes it a really tricky pick. That's where someone like Richarlison could then be a really good pick, or Kulusevski. Okay, so Maddison, yellow in the first game against Brentford. No yellow against Man United. No yellow against Bournemouth. No yellow against Burnley. Yellow against Sheffield United. Now he's on 2 yellows, mate. I'm not sure where he got the 4 from. Unless, did he get booked in the cup game as well? I don't think he did. The League Cup game that we obviously lost a few weeks back. But now 2 yellows. Start 2 out of Watkins, Mbeumo, or Alvarez. Alvarez and Watkins for me, mate. Mate, it's a good shout. I'm captaining Haaland. I just won't go against him, especially in these types of fixtures. Wolves scored there last season. I personally just don't think Wolves will be able to handle City at all. But who's to say when Bowen's not going to come out and score a couple of goals in that game and match Haaland anyway? So yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a good shout. We'll check for more news. Let's see if anything else has come in whilst I have been live. Let's see if anything else has come in. Also, if you're new here, please subscribe. Continue to get your questions in and comment as well. Let's have a look. There's a few people saying about Smith Rowe maybe starting with all the injuries to Arsenal. I think that's possible. Yeah, there's really not much team news coming in. This is worrying with 22 minutes to go till deadline. Not getting much on Saka. Let's see if we can get some more Saka news. For those that are still tuned in, please get your questions in. Any dilemmas, any thoughts. If you're on a wild card, let me know what your wild card is. Captain dilemmas, transfer dilemmas, anything, get it in the comments. These live deadline streams now, it's all about going through the fixtures, talking about some of our favourite players and really just answering your questions. I'll tell you what, I'll bring up some of my differentials this week. Let's go through some. So I've gone Paqueta from West Ham, 1.8% owned, home to Sheffield United. Decore, 0.7% owned, home against Luton, scored last week against Brentford as well and hit the post. James Trafford, 1% owned, Burnley goalkeeper, 2 fixtures, potentially a clean sheet in one of them, lots of save points. Captain picks, I've gone Haaland as my number 1 pick away to Wolves, Bowen as my number 2 captain pick against Sheffield United, and number 3, Son. I like his record against Liverpool. Mate, get your team in. Make sure you get your team in. So they're my captain picks. And player pick, I'm liking the Morris pick. I think he's a decent pick. So he's my player pick. I wouldn't go Calvert-Lewin this week. I think Beto will get the start. Calvert-Lewin will start to come off the bench, and he's been scoring goals doing that at the moment. So I think with his injuries and what's happened to him the last few years, they're probably going to slowly bring him back, mate. So that's probably a fair call doing that. Okay, let's see if there's any latest on Saka, because we need to know. We need to know. There's people saying if Saka's fit, he starts. And like I said, why would he travel and not start the game? It makes no sense to bring Saka and have him on the bench. It just makes no sense. Arsenal need to play their best team and win every game. If they want to be in a title race with Man City, you have to win. You have to win these games. You have to win these games. You can't drop points away. Yeah, Calvert-Lewin's a good pick potentially down the track. We've seen it in FPL before, but not until he proves his fitness. Right now, if you're going to go anyone from Everton, Decore, Garner, maybe Punt and Beto. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to get any real secure news right now, which is, yeah, it's disappointing. But again, Arsenal are the kickoff afterwards. But yeah, keep getting your questions in, everyone. I'll probably stay on for another 4 or 5 minutes. The watches have started to go down. I think a lot of people are stressing about their team, making their moves, making their subs. So please get your questions in. Okay, so I've seen a comment online from Nick Miller, Gooner Boy, Arsenal blog alert. Arteta, he thinks he may rest Rice, Saka, and Saliba. Yeah. And he did the article on Football London. It's tough. It's tough. I personally think it's Arsenal are taking too much of a risk resting players if they're supposed to be in a title race. Personally, I know it's a squad game, but I think they Champions League against Lens away, they can probably make some changes in that one as well. A couple of questions that have come in. Quinton, welcome to the stream, mate. He was on FPL Amateurs of Oz was on the stream last week. Couldn't make it tonight. Would I start Maddison over Saka? Yeah. If my choice was between Maddison and Saka in my squad, obviously as a Spurs fan as well, I'd play Maddison, but I'd also play him because of the security in minutes. Obviously, I'd say start both if you can, but if I had to pick between the two, it'd definitely be Maddison. Yeah, it is a shame the other bloke didn't join the stream tonight, which is you. Eunice, I've already made my transfer. So even if Saka doesn't start, Estupiñán comes off the bench. And that's fine. I've got Wissa coming off my bench. I'd prefer Saka to travel with the squad and not even play a minute, knowing I've got a sub coming on, than Saka to come on for 5, 10, 20 minutes. Makes no sense, which is why I've said throughout the whole stream that surely Saka, if he's travelled, is travelling to start. It doesn't make any sense otherwise. Could just look to leave him at home, in my opinion. Okay, so let's share this. I don't know how true this is. He calls himself. Okay, so this is actually a very good. So here's some team news. Here's some apparent team news. Is it real? You never know on Twitter. I'll repost it now, and I'm going to share it on screen. So let's present the screen. Here we go. So anyone who's got Saka and Saliba, here is some apparent team news. So this guy, Transfers Radar, he's got himself a blue tick. I think he pays for it. He's only got a couple of thousand followers. He has said William Saliba and Bukayo Saka start for Arsenal against Bournemouth. So he's managed to get this information. I think it's, what's the time in the UK now? 11:45, is it? It's about 11:45 or 11:45 in the morning. His kickoff's about 4 hours away. 3.5 hours or 4 hours away. Both deemed fit. Huge. If this is right, his account will blow up with followers and he'll be seen as someone that can deliver team news, similar to team news and ticks and those types of accounts. Let's bring up some comments. Let me know what you think of this news on the screen. How does it impact your team? Eunice, I've already made my Saka transfer. So even if Saka doesn't start, Estupiñán comes off the bench. We did talk about that a second ago. Q has said Maddison, good record v Liverpool. That is actually correct. Very true. In a mediocre Leicester team, also true. But yeah, with this Saka news, mate, there's obviously a decision to be made. Yeah, I don't understand bringing Saka to playing for 10 minutes. I don't get it. I honestly think he's got a knock against Spurs. He's had this Achilles knock as well. Yeah, he's had a little bit of a knock. And then they've just given him a few days to rest, get better, and he must have trained. He must have done his own training yesterday. And then according to this transfer radar, he's fit. He has travelled with the squad. So again, like I said earlier, I don't understand why Saka and Saliba would travel and not start the game. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense. I'd start Estupiñán. Don't like Chelsea's defence at all. Okay, so 11:44 a.m. in the UK right now. Thanks for that, mate. Daniel Capellaro, welcome to the stream, mate. Son 100% starts this week for Spurs. He's fit to play. Ange Postecoglou did say they had a minor knock. I think that was from the game last week. But then he went on to say that him and Maddison both trained fine. So, yeah, Son plays and great record against Liverpool. So, yeah, really good pick. If you can get Son in this week, do it ahead of next week's game against Luton. Yeah, so according to this transfer radar, like I don't know, we were saying just then we don't know how legit he is, but he's going to get a lot of followers after this if he's right. But he is saying Heung-min Son, James Maddison start for Tottenham against Liverpool. I don't know how he would have got that news so early on, to be honest, before kickoff. That doesn't make much sense. Your one source for all transfer news, league updates, and football news. Interesting. Okay, let's see if anyone's commenting what he's had to say. 13 minutes until deadline as well, by the way. What's your source? There's been likes. I'm not so sure on this guy. Let me see what else we can get on this Saka news. This guy's going to get a lot of hate if he's not telling the truth, because you get a lot of these accounts. They buy their blue tick like this, only have a couple of thousand followers at best, and they put a rumor out like this, and they chance that they're going to play, hoping that if they play, then all their followers go up and they become a legit source for team news. But I don't know how. I don't know how legit this guy is. If he's right, then fair play to him. Let's go through the questions as well. Yeah, Son starts, mate. It definitely starts. I'd start Turner. Yeah, Q. He must be fine. They play Man City, so if he was bad, that's also true about Saka. And they got the Champions League in the week as well, which is really important. Like being back in the Champions League is huge for Arsenal. Welcome to the stream, Martin Watchhorn. Yeah, it's hard, mate, with Brighton. I'd probably start. Get yourself on Twitter now, mate. See if there's some early Brighton news, and if they all start, I'd play them all. Bench Ferguson, definitely start Matoma. I wish I had Matoma. That's one player I sold, which was an awful transfer. I should have just kept him. I can't remember what I sold him for now. I sold him for Sterling. He's been terrible. Yeah, it's a great transfer. Son is a great transfer. Yeah, I can't wait for it, mate. Look, I want Spurs. I said 2-2 earlier. We beat Liverpool once in 10 years or something silly. But yeah, look, I said 2-2 as a prediction, but let's go 2 on Tottenham. Yeah, let's hope this transfer radar guy is true. Foden, Alvarez, Diaz, Haaland, 4 Man City players there. Yeah, I don't know how we'd know about Spurs this early. Let's have a look and see if there's any more Saka news. Okay, Saka injury. I'm having a look to see if there's anything new. It's only this transfer radar that's just come out with this random post. Doesn't seem to be huge amounts else. Sorry. So Eunice's comment was just to say that all of these players start for Man City. Okay. Hopefully we get some more news on Saka in the next 5 minutes from potentially a legit source. Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, that'd be huge if he left Arsenal, mate. That'd be huge. Two Blues podcast. Welcome to the stream, mate. Do you think? Question for you, mate. Do you think Chelsea are going to score this week against Fulham? And if they do, who has the highest chance of scoring? Sterling, Fernandes. Yeah, I agree. Whoever's leaking this 3 p.m. team news like this, it doesn't make sense. Again, like I said, some of these people, they just want follows. You might just be chancing it, hoping that, that he's right. It says he's a journalist. Let's see if he's got any previous tweets right. Let's have a look. This just looks like he's chancing it. Sven Botman, Kieran Trippier, Fabian Schär, Callum Wilson, and Gordon all start. Let's see if he's got any historical stuff correct. Okay, he's got a picture of Anthony. I honestly think he's just, he could just be doing it to get some quick followers and quick people in from the FPL community, given it 8 minutes till deadline. But yeah, he's just not going to be a legitimate source if he gets this all wrong. He really isn't. So he's been told Marcus Rashford maybe started from the bench tomorrow as there's concerns he's not 100% focused. May out for Garnacho, but this will be clearer. I'm not sure. Really not. Look, hard to say if we can just trust this. Let's bring up more comments that have come in. Let's scroll back up to the Arsenal team news, just so everyone that's tuned in to the stream can see what we're talking about. If you're new here as well, please subscribe to the channel. Give the stream a like. We're 8 minutes away until deadline. Let's bring this up now. So this, we don't know how legit this guy is. Udogie versus Dalot. Probably Dalot because it higher chance of a clean sheet. Good captain Trippier this week. Two Blues guarantee it's not a verified source. It's someone making a fairly obvious statement, and hopefully they get it right. Mate, that's 100% what I think they're doing. It's got to be. Plus, he's bought the blue tick, so he's probably thinking, blue tick, these guys get the start. If they do, I'll become a verified source. But he's really chancing it. He's really chancing it. And he's also said Son and Maddison start. Yeah. Mate, I've kept Sterling. I have to. I heard Burns injured. According, that's what Eddie Howe said. He's actually injured, mate. So that one I think is probably legit. I'm the only FPL journey to trust and follow. For transfers, yeah, Fabrizio Romano and that David Ornstein's quite good. John Cena follows transfer radar. Colwill in. I wouldn't go any Chelsea players. Palmer could be a sleeper for an assist or two at under 5 mil. One to keep an eye on if if Chelsea can hit form, it might be quite handy because a lot of your players are cheap this season. Otherwise, Sterling guaranteed to start, moderate to start, risky option with Chilwell bench. I've got a bad feeling Poch will bring Gallagher back in. Yeah, Gallagher's stinking it out in your midfield, isn't he, mate? Like, yeah. Eunice, I'm asking, starting Saka is what it is. I'm the same. I'm just going to start Saka now. Well, thanks for coming to the stream, mate. Yeah, I'm just going to start Saka as well. Even if this transfer radars guy is completely off the mark, it is what it is. Let's go in to... I'll answer this one quickly. So starters, Turner, Esteban, Trippier, Garbadol. Any alternatives? Mate, you got a pretty good starting 11. I don't think you need to change much, to be honest. We've already got confirmation that Alvarez is starting. Mate, that's fine. You could probably start that and roll, unless you want to bring Trafford in as your second keeper and put him in goal to have a double game week keeper, mate. Or you could bring in Kabore for Bulldog and put him as first sub in case this Saka news is a complete lie, which it could be. Yeah, I'm hearing Botman is safer. That's just according to what Eddie Howe said. And I went on to the Toon-tastic forum earlier, and a lot of them were saying, that Burns injured. Yeah, not liking Conor Gallagher, mate. I think, to be honest, a lot of the Conor Gallagher hate I'm feeling is actually I get it mainly when I watch your Chelsea streams, and now I'm starting to dislike watching Gallagher play as well. Andy Carroll as an alternative, mate. If he was in the game, surely he'd be a 4.5 million striker option. 4 minutes till deadline. Let's see if we've got any verified news. I'm trying to see if there's any verified news. A lot of people are asking him, where'd you hear this from? I think he's just an absolute chancer trying to just chance his. The biggest problem with this guy is he said this, but then he's also kind of said this and said this about all these clubs straight after. It's just, it reeks of just trying to get FPL accounts to follow him, in my opinion. But get your questions in with 3 minutes to go to a deadline. Give the stream a like if you haven't done, please. Just give it a like. And subscribe if you're new here. Trying to continue to get those subs up. Let's do one last sweep of injury news from Saka. Let's see if there's a legit source that has some Saka news. An account called Up Your Arsenal has tweeted saying Saliba and Saka are back from injury. So I'd probably believe an account with 75,000 followers, that's an Arsenal account, more than Transfer Radar, who's just putting random team news out of nowhere. I don't even think he knows if he's telling the truth or not, this guy. There we go. There's an predicted Arsenal team. That was from a day ago. Have we got anything new? Yeah, tough. Ben Dinnery, he's good with injuries. Early doubt for the weekend, Saka, but he did post that 2 days ago. Let's see if we've got anything now from him. It's a horrible feeling that Saka will just be on the bench and come on and get a point for absolutely no reason and ruin it all for our teams. And then Wissa, who's on my bench, will score. I'd have preferred to have concrete news that Saka was injured and bench him for a week and play Wissa than have this pain of potentially getting 1 point off my bench. Same goes for Saliba. 1 minute till deadline, by the way, as well. So make sure your teams are in, your captains are picked, your transfers are done. Well, the squad, the full Arsenal squad has Saka in there, Declan Rice in there. And there's this doesn't look like there's anything concrete. Predicted Arsenal starting lineup from Arteta fan page has Saka in there, Saliba in there. I think you've just got to play him, like Dan's just said here. Team is done. Saka staying in. I think you just have to play him. I'm starting him. I'm just gonna let it play. If he doesn't play, I've got bench cover. If he starts, he's probably gonna score. So let's leave it at that. The deadline's passed. We're done. Let's find out in a few hours if this guy is actually legit. Yeah, we'll see. Mr. Blanky, hope you're well, mate. Yeah, anytime. Great to see you in the stream. And anyone new that was new tonight, please subscribe, give the video a like. It's time to go now. That was the live deadline stream for game week 7. Good luck, everyone, for this double game week, first double game week of the season. I will see you all in the next one. Last comment that's come in from Daniel. We needed 2002 Ronaldinho for 5.5 million. Well, we've got a Brazilian called Paqueta, 6.1 million. Probably not quite Ronaldinho, but he's got Sheffield United today. So big differential for this game week. Let's see how he goes. Let's see if Saka plays. Hopefully Spurs get the win against Liverpool. I'll see you all in the next one. I'm FPLMattDay. Bye for now.